Son, the Holy Spirit. We cast you out. By the power of Jesus Christ.
Let's talk about the new film, The Conjuring: The Last Rites, which is going to bring to a conclusion the Conjuring series from 2013. We follow Vera Farmiga. We've also followed Patrick Wilson on this very, very long journey, and we've come to the ending. And the Conjuring franchise has spawned many different iterations from Annabelle and amongst others, like La Llorona, which was a sort of I would say more like a footnote of the Conjuring universe. But we do have the director from that film currently coming on board to close out the chapter. Would have loved for James Wan to close it off because of course it started with James Wan, but nonetheless we are here. So we follow Ed and Lorraine on their final case we will see here, and we hear that they are definitely feeling some type of way about it all coming to an end. They've been here for some time now, they've done this work together, and they both talk about it to Entertainment Weekly that they're gonna miss it. So let's get into what this new film is gonna be about, how is it gonna conclude, and where do we go from here. But let me tell you, we are doing a drop code giveaway over on our Instagram. We are going to be giving 2 codes for the film Drop, which came out earlier this year. So if you want to participate in that, go to the post on our Instagram. You can find the @ here with the poster and go and check out more about that over there. That's going to be just through Instagram, so go do that right now. We will announce the winner tomorrow night. But let's get into what exactly this Conjuring Last Rites film looks to be about. So pretty much what we know here is that they are trying to follow one of the more Googleable cases. This is what it says right here, Googleable. I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but something you can just go out and Google. So Chavez told Entertainment Weekly that around the time of The Nun 2 release, that they were going to tease a bit the final Conjuring film. Now, they did say that, of course, they are trying to come off the ending of The Devil Made Me Do It, which this film is going to be 5 years after that film. The third film was kind of a detour, is what Wilson says right here, where it sort of was more about a human being the main antagonist, and says it was more of a murder mystery, really like a true crime. This really felt like a proper ending to get back to the heart of the franchise, the family of it all. So Last Rites is going to take place in 1986, 5 years after the events of The Devil Made Me Do It. The Warrens are retired from the exorcist business, largely due to the heart attack that Ed suffered in the third film when they were trying to do some demonic exorcism type things, right? And they are now on the university circuit presenting at various schools these talks, but they actually see that these opportunities are drawing up. So we hear from Wilson saying Ed got pretty beat up in the third one, so I honestly didn't want to be on death's door for this movie. First of all, there's no reason to be. He lived for another 25 years, and of course we know that this is something that Patrick Wilson wanted. He didn't want to sort of be at the end with the third film like that, right? He wanted to give it a little bit more of an interesting take. So, but retirement was interesting to me, he says. It was more important to show the skeptics we're not in the middle of Amityville when hauntings were everywhere. And I really do find it fascinating for them to go into this aspect of the Warrens cases, right? Because for the most part, the previous Conjuring films were at the height of people believing satanic panics and things like that. But I really would find it more interesting if they sort of delved into the skepticism that actually revolves around the Warrens even to this day now, and how do they really cope with all of that pressure of people really thinking like you're just like taking advantage of people, and maybe some things that they believe are true and stuff, you're just exploiting them. So I really find that aspect fascinating, and hopefully the movie revolves around that, but I doubt it. So let's get into what this movie actually centers around, which is actually one of the more famous events from the Warrens' career, the Smurl family haunting. I'm going to do a whole separate video for the haunting tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. I'll briefly brush over it here. So this is actually going to be based on this family that moved into a duplex in Chase Street in Pittston, Pennsylvania in the 1970s. And in the years that followed, they actually had their young daughters and Jack's parents claiming to experience supernatural occurrences that range from strange odors and voices. And that's exactly what we kind of start to see in this trailer. This is a pretty big family, of course, as well. They actually were on TV programs such as Larry King Live, Entertainment Tonight, and was one of the more publicized cases, according to them, but it also gave skeptics ammunition to say they sold out for the public spotlight, is what Entertainment Weekly says. The story actually became the subject of a book called The Haunted: One Family's Nightmare in 1986. In 1991 was made for a TV movie starring Sally Kirkland. So Saffron, who is actually one of the producers here, says it's one of the more Googleable ones. It really fits the bill for us, being able to lean into something that the audiences could go and Google after the movie. Oh, they really did have that many children. Oh, they really were this age and the grandparents were really there. All of this stuff has been meaningful to us. So Patrick Wilson also talked about how they've known about this story for a long time and says that then writers are playing around with how it affects the family and what's going on in the family's life. That's where we can really theatricalize it. We're not making a documentary, is what he's saying. Judy Warren will play a bigger part in this movie, and we've seen Judy Warren over the last couple of Conjuring films, as well as also the sort of movies that detach from it, like Annabelle Comes Home and all of that, take more of a center stage of sorts. But Chavez says that now the daughter will be the real meat of the movie and give it a cinematic conclusion. They are going to witness a moment in the Warrens' lives, and a pretty profound moment. It's a moment that makes time stand still. This one's different than the others. The other three were about hauntings, and this is about reckoning in a way, is what Farmiga says. He says it's a slightly different take on Judy than what we've seen before. I think it's more interesting and more real take on what it's like to grow up the daughter of the Warrens. What is it like when you are living in an artifact room that's filled with demonic items? How hard is that? What impact does that leave on a person's life? So of course this is all we know so far about the Conjuring franchise ending here, but we definitely do think spin-offs and all that will come. Just a couple of years ago they did announce that a drama series was coming for Max, which would be centered around the world. Maybe we get to explore more of the artifacts in there. I always thought that'd be an interesting sort of anthology of sorts if we get to find out more about those artifacts that were in that room. But what we do know is that this is definitely the last ride for Patrick and Vera, as Ed and Lorraine, although we might see them later down the road. Never rule out those opportunities down the line, is what Saffron says. So we'll see what happens there. But the Smurl haunting is one I definitely want to talk more about because it's very interesting. So we'll do that more tomorrow on a video just focusing on that. Here I just want to talk about the Conjuring Last Rites and what exactly that new trailer gave us, because there was a lot there, and also read this Entertainment Weekly article. But this one definitely looks like it is focusing a lot more on the Warrens as parents and sort of the world that comes after, when everybody else is more like skeptical about what exactly is it that they do and if they can be trusted. And I really love that approach because that's something I've always thought about, especially as you learn more about the Warrens and read up on them. And I do want to make a whole video about that and the Warrens and their cases, because I think what went down in their real lives and the world and how they were viewed is a lot more interesting as well than just the cases themselves, because I think it really showcases a sort of nuance to all of this. So we'll do a video on that if y'all want, but tomorrow we'll talk about the Smurl haunting and some more stuff that you love in pop culture, because that's what we do here on Culture Elixir. So hit the subscribe and hit the notification bell. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram, where we're giving away 2 digital codes for drop. So go check that out on our Instagram. That will be announced tomorrow night, so don't miss out on it by going right now, and make sure you follow us over there for more giveaways that are coming all summer. And let me know what you think about the Conjuring Last Rites, excited or not, and comment down below your thoughts. But as always, I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.